Hello and welcome to The Lion's Den. I'm your host Matt, as always. And welcome to week number, I'm not entirely sure. We are, I think, past the halfway point or right on the halfway point of this wonderful, glorious year of 2021. And I'll be honest, I'm quite proud of myself for having kept this up. I had one week where it got a little dicey, but that was just because I was very much putting all of my time and effort into finishing my university degree, so obviously that took precedent. But I've been very vigilant in making sure I keep doing this regularly, and something you guys don't know quite so much, but I know because I do it, is I moved to a slightly different schedule. So I originally would record on a Thursday, edit it and upload it and everything, and it would take probably about half an hour to an hour. But instead I've decided now that I will record on a Wednesday and then edit on a Thursday, which is a much better workflow. It means you don't have to sit recording and feeling like an idiot for 10 minutes and then have to listen back to that, because trust me, it's the biggest kind of when you're listening back to things you've just talked about. Anyways, slight rant over about how I'm creating a podcast that I post on YouTube. Let's get into what happened this past week. So Friday, the day after I uploaded last week's episode, oh boy, what an interesting day that was. So long story short, I was on my own that evening for getting food. Both my parents were out doing something else, and I was waiting for my sister to come home from work, so I was kind of on my own. Push comes to shove, I basically ended up having my own dinner. This included buying some chips from a local chip shop. For half of them I would eat, and then half of them my sister would have when she eventually did get home. And this is where the insanity began. So, the chip shop we have, weirdly enough, only accepts cash. Don't ask me why, it's just the way they are. Even in the middle of this crisis we're in, they still only accept cash. So my parents had left me a bit of cash because I'm used to using card for so long I didn't actually have any. And they said, yeah, you can just get some chips with it and whatnot. So I drove down, I sat in my car, I was grabbing my mask to put my mask on and went, I've forgotten the money, it's on the table at home. So I was like, So I decided to go in just in case my parents had never asked if they have card or what for a long time. So I thought, I'll just go in, I'll ask, see what they say. They were like, no, I'm afraid we only do accept cash, but can we take your order so that you don't have to wait in a queue? You can just pick it up when you get back. And this woman, who was clearly a sort of, not young mother, but like, she had a young child with her that I would have put maybe around 5 or 6, bless her. She said, oh, I don't mind paying for you right now. I was like, oh my goodness, humanity, faith in humanity restored. This woman who I don't know, and she doesn't know me, is offering to pay to buy me these chips. And I was like, oh, thank you so much, that's so kind of you. And I decided at that point, okay, I'm going to race home, put the chips in the oven, because I had a pie in the oven that I was going to have with them, grab the cash, and then race back out and try and see if I could catch them to give them the cash. So, pedal to the metal, doing the max speed limit, which is 30 miles an hour, so not exactly that fast, but I was going as fast as I could up the hill, pulled up beside the house, jumped out the car, shoved the chips in the oven with my pie, grabbed the cash, jumped back in the car, drove all the way down, and I can see them. They were stood outside the shop, just walking in, I think, to pick up their order, because it must have been cooked fresh. So I quickly pulled in, jumped out the car, and then walked as fast as I could around the corner and was like, hi, thank you so much for paying. I can pay you back now. And gave them the cash as my sort of like my good deed for that day. Because I mean, it was so nice of them to have paid for me in that instance where I was an idiot and completely forgotten to grab the money, which was on the table where I grabbed my car keys. So I was like, but yeah, hopefully I can kind of pay that forward. Obviously I gave them the money, but I'm going to try and do a good deed myself as well to pay that act of just pure generosity from some random stranger in that scenario. So yeah, very happy. That was also kind of hectic though. When I got home I was like, ooh, and just sat there eating my food like really slowly, thinking, oh god, what was all of that? Nightmare. But anyway, so this Saturday as well, it's just gone, I also worked another open day. Again, I mentioned this before about my student ambassador and whatnot. But this one was slightly different. So they had a couple of things that they set out on display to kind of entice people to come over and talk to us. So the way it was set up is they had a bunch of little marquee gazebo tents, and students and staff would sit under them and just talk to the staff. We couldn't do anything indoors. That was the only thing we could do, where we just had a stall for people to come and talk to us about the degree and what it's like to be a student. But for us, in our little bundle, the staff had pulled out a couple items. Now, one of them is a thing called a double pendulum. You can look that up. The interesting thing is they had a prototype helmet design that had magnetometer sensors in them, which is designed to sense the minuscule magnetic fields produced by the brain. So, a little bit of physics knowledge. If you have a moving electrical current, that generates a magnetic field. Now, anybody who knows any bit of neuroscience knows that the brain is just full of electrical currents darting around and basically making your brain function. So that produces tiny little magnetic fields, and we can sense them using a magnetometer. Now, the device they actually had was built on a technology called optically pumped magnetometers, which, funnily enough, happened to be my fourth year project. So that was really fun, because it meant that I literally knew exactly how the device worked on a physics basis. I didn't know how they had created it and put it into this tiny device that looked no bigger than a small rubber. But the fact that I could actually explain to the students and the parents that were coming to talk to us, I know how this works and this is how it works in a very basic level, it's really nice, because you're not trying to kind of make it up. You're not trying to piece together information you've heard from other people about something. You actually understand it, so you're not scrambling around trying to figure out how to blag your way through it, basically. For example, one of the biggest problems I have whenever I'm talking to them is if a student comes asking for a course that I've not done or have no experience of, it's really awkward, because I'm just kind of yeah, I don't really know because I didn't do that. So I'll have to hand you off to someone else, or sorry, go look up online. That's your best shot currently. That's always the worst thing, but this was nice because I could actually detail it. So yeah, if you want to learn about optically pumped magnetometers, you can ask me. Maybe if you really want, I can do some physics talks, although that's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea, but I can do it technically. I assume I'm allowed to talk about the physics I learned. Don't know why I wouldn't. Anyway, let's move slightly from Nerd Town into secondary Nerd Town for gaming. This week on Friday, so tomorrow for when this video goes up, it's 2 days for me, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD will be coming out. And I feel like the smuggest person on earth, because I knew this was coming before it was announced. Essentially, when I got Twilight Princess on the Wii U, the HD remake of that one, and then years later I got the Wind Waker remake, such good games, both of them amazing. I said, I'll probably buy the Skyward Sword through the virtual Wii store on the Wii U so I can play it. And I thought, they've done both these remakes for Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. They did the remakes on the 3DS for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. What's the chance that they'll do Skyward Sword next on the Switch? So I said, I will wait. And I said this in 2017, 2018, right, when the Switch came out. I waited so diligently, and then they announced it, and I was like, yes, I was right. And now I'm excited, because it's gonna look really good. It's supposedly got better controls, and it's on a console that's not a relic of the past. So I am very excited for that, and I pre-ordered it, which means it's going to turn up on Friday, the release date, hopefully, assuming they get stock and there's no delivery issues. So very, very, very happy for that. And excellent, we are roughly about time, so I hope you've all enjoyed listening to this man talk about a bunch of incoherent thoughts that he strung together over the course of 10 minutes. And I hope you all have a fantastic week doing whatever you're doing. And I will see you all next week. Bye.